The impact of the storm can still be felt all across the southeast, including right here in South Carolina. Thousands of people are still without power. Multiple roads are closed due to flooding and downed trees. Thank you all so much for joining us. I'm Christy Calcagno. We are also learning from the Anderson County Coroner's Office, one person has died so far because of this storm. Officials say a tree fell on a house this morning over in Anderson County. Now, we have received hundreds of thousands of videos there, pictures and videos throughout the Midlands of this storm damage, and of course throughout South Carolina, sent in by you, the viewers. Many of them showing those trees blocking roads, water rushing onto the streets, and many of these homes damaged as well as vehicles. So you can actually just see some of these videos. This is from Alex George in Leesville. You can see all of those trees being uprooted and then falling right on in there, and how strong those wind gusts were throughout the entire day. Now, because of these strong winds, we've had a lot of power outages. Here is what they are seeing of the latest up-to-date numbers here. This is poweroutage.us, and I want to draw your attention to this number right here. States and territories with customers out, South Carolina right now has the most people without power in the entire country. Right now, there is more than 1.2 million people without power. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at where the 1.2 people are. According to the Associated Press, we are now reporting that 45% of homes and businesses are without power across the state. Breaking it down over here, Richland County, still 97,000 customers are currently without power this morning. You can even go into the darker red. Newberry, 15,000 people are without power this morning. And then let's go ahead and check on over here. Lexington County, still 106,000 customers are still without power this morning. Now, if you still need to report a power outage in your area, you can always call or submit a report online to your power company. You can also call the emergency line for your service provider. Officials say if your power is out, you want to stay safe by using flashlights. Do not use candles, as that is a fire hazard. Also, be sure to report any downed power lines and trees as well. Now, happening in less than 2 hours from now, Governor Henry McMaster will be holding a briefing on today's storm. All that is happening at 2 p.m. and he will be joined by the state emergency management officials as well to provide an update on the state's response to the tropical storm. Of course, stay with News 19 as we bring you live to that meeting. We will be streaming that on WLTX.com as well as right here on News 19. And our weather team has been working around the clock tracking the storms. Let's go ahead and send things over to meteorologist Daniel Bonds.
Good afternoon, Christy. Good afternoon to you guys. Hurricane, at the time Helene, did make landfall last night at 11:10 as a powerful Category 4 storm with winds up to 140 miles per hour. Currently, this is the latest from the National Hurricane Center. 11 a.m. advisory. It is now a tropical storm, does have winds of 45, still gust up to 70, moving pretty quickly towards the north at about 32 miles per hour. So it is weakening, and that's certainly good news. As we take a look at our satellite radar composite, a few stray showers out there. Otherwise, we have these clouds. The clouds will continue to kind of lift out as we do move through the rest of the afternoon. And you'll notice a little bit of sunshine finally popping through in the eastern half of the Midlands. Still do have those gusty winds, generally coming out of the south, southwest, anywhere from 20 to 25 miles per hour. And we'll still have some stronger gusts, possibly up to 40 miles per hour as we go into the afternoon, with highs in the mid-80s, mid-60s tonight. And then for tomorrow, first half of the weekend's looking pretty good, with temperatures in the mid-80s under mostly sunny skies. We'll break down this forecast much further coming up in just a few minutes. Christy.
All righty, Daniel, thank you so much. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit. Now, residents over in Forest Acres have been battling flooding, fallen trees, and power lines and power outages as well. Our Josie Frost is joining us live right now from Juarez Court in Forest Acres, where she says a tree has fallen on someone's house. Josie, what are you seeing right now?
Christy, there are trees down everywhere around here right now. They're across the roads, they're on the power lines, and yes, some of them have fallen on houses. Now, right now, I'm in Claudia Baker's backyard. She let me come back here so I could show you what her neighbor's house looks like. Now, I'm going to step out of the way so you can see what it looks like behind me. Now, as you can see, this huge tree base has been ripped up, and it's covering this house next to it. Claudia says the people who live in this house are okay. She told me that the ground around here stays really damp, so seeing trees down isn't much of a surprise. Now, this tree is so large that From where I'm standing here, close to the base, you can't really see much of the house, but take a look at some of this video we took earlier. Now, when I was passing by, I almost didn't notice that this tree had fallen on this house because you can actually see so little of the house under it. Now, Claudia said she heard a loud boom around 5 or 6 this morning when the tree fell. She says around that time, the wind was so strong, she thought that they were actually having a tornado.
And I think it was around 5:30, 6 a.m. that the power went out, and then we heard a tree crash, and you could definitely tell it came from that side. So yeah, we knew it was something big, that's for sure. The sound of the wind definitely intensified. You know, like I said, it died down, but then it picked up really strong again.
Again, Claudia tells me that the person who lives in this house is okay. A spokesperson for Forest Acres told me that there were over 30 trees down in the neighborhood this morning. Christy?
All right, Josie, thank you so much. Stay safe out there. Now we're going to turn our attention over to Newberry this afternoon, where high winds have damaged some buildings. Take a look at this photo. This was sent in by a viewer of Caldwell Street. You can see all of that damage there. That building, all of those pieces of bricks just laying on the road right now. So this afternoon, we actually have Sheriff Lee Foster on the line to talk about the damage that you're seeing. Sheriff Foster, thank you so much for taking the time for joining us here this afternoon. So Sheriff, what are you seeing out there on the roads right now?
Well, I see a lot of people on the roads that don't need to be on the roads. They need to go situate themselves, and they're hampering emergency responses and putting themselves in danger. We have a disaster out here. Trees down everywhere, no power. I've never seen this before in my years of this type of work.
So you mentioned with down trees and power lines there, how is the department kind of working at this point pretty much around the clock to make sure they're getting to everybody, especially on time and safely?
Well, we're getting to everybody. We did not cease operations. We kept going even though it was very dangerous for our personnel. I think everybody in emergency services, from law enforcement, fire, EMS, public works, they have done the best they can. It's just so much we can't keep up with it, but we're getting to it. So we just have to pack patience. I do not know of a single area in Newberry County that is not without power, nor has had damage. We've got, of course, you got the building, but we've got numerous houses with trees in them. We've got just widespread property damage from it. We do know that we have 2 storm-related fatalities and several other people that have been injured during the storm.
So, Sheriff, thank you for that, of course, and thank you so much for all of the EMS and law enforcement who are working around the clock to help all the community members. What is your message for people right now in Newberry County?
Well, we're actually under a state of emergency locally, and but we have also asked people to shelter at home. Now, the storm has passed us, but the aftermath is going to be here for days. We're without power. All the intersections do not have traffic lights. So people need to come to a stop at the traffic lights and act as a four-way stop. But if you do not have to be out, I can't stress this enough right now. If you do not have to be out, do not go out. And the other thing I need to stress, as the power companies are turning power back on, is they're working on that. Walking around down power lines can be extremely hazardous to your health. So the best thing you can do right now is please stay at home, stay off the roads, and just shelter in place. It's widespread disaster.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon. Sheriff Foster there with Newberry County. Make sure, he said it the best, Get off the roads if you do not have to, as they do have a shelter in place happening right now locally there. We appreciate every single one of the first responders, as well as Dominion Energy and all of the energy companies that are working around the clock to make sure that your power does get back on. But especially over there in Newberry and many parts here across the Midlands, a lot of the traffic lights, as Sheriff Foster mentioned, are not working. So it's a four-way stop. So make sure if you do have to get out on the roads, make sure you are taking plenty of time to get to your destination safely. And there have been a lot of downed trees and power lines here. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of them. This is over in Batesburg. From a viewer, you can actually see crashing into the home there. You can see another tree onto a home. This next photo is actually from Lexington. Huge trees in front of this person's home. And then Bush River Road, huge, blocking all those areas. Again, Palmaria is also seeing reports. This video right here from Palmaria, Harmon Road, Heights Apartment, Harbison, Flora Drive. We have been getting photos constantly throughout the night and into this morning of down trees, down power lines into homes and vehicles. Again, stay safe out there. If you do not have to get out on the roads, do not. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our traffic conditions. This is a live look over I-20 now at mile marker 66.5. It's definitely going to be a different view from what we have been seeing over there. We are still dealing, as always, with those wet roads, but the wind is definitely a lot different from what we saw earlier this morning. But again, we have wet roads across the Midlands today. So if you are driving in wet conditions, again, we cannot stress this enough, do not go outside if you do not have to. But AAA is urging you, increase your following distance behind other vehicles. You'll want to stay away from cruise control as well and avoid hard braking and making sharp turns. Another reminder, do not drive during a flash flooding because that can be incredibly dangerous.